Right, so now I'm looking at the second method for factorizing a cubic function, and this is the method of long division. Right, so now you're still going to start off the same way that you did in the previous one by finding a factor with the factor theorem. Now, if you remember, I'm using the same equations. If you remember from the previous video, if in the place of 1 actually gave me 0, which means that x minus 1 is a factor, and then what I'm going to do is long division. So now to use long division, I'm going to take my cubic function that I'm working with here, x cubed plus 4x squared plus x minus 6, and then I'm going to divide it by this factor x minus 1. And to divide, I'm basically going to follow the same pattern. I'm going to divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Now this is one of the longest methods of finding the factors of a cubic function, but I think it's one of the easier methods. And if you just practice the long division enough, it's a long method, but if you practice the long division enough, you'll be quite fast with it because it's basic. It's very basic calculation. So I'm going to divide. So I'm dividing x cubed by x. That gives me x squared. Then I multiply. And when I multiply with both. When I divide, I just divide with the first one. So I just divide x cubed by x. That's x squared. And then when I multiply this x squared with both these. So I multiply x squared with x. It gives me x cubed. And I multiply x squared with negative 1, it gives me negative x squared. And then I'm going to subtract. Now to subtract, I change the signs. So this is a positive x cubed, so I'm going to make it negative so that I subtract it. And subtract negative x squared is actually going to become plus x squared. And then I'm going to do the subtraction. X cubed minus x cubed is nothing, and 4x squared plus 1x squared is 5x squared. And after subtracting, then I bring down the next term to this equation. Then I start again. So I'm going to divide only the first term and the first term. So 5x squared divided by x is 5x. Then I multiply. 5x times x is 5x squared, and 5x times negative 1 is negative 5x. And then I'm going to subtract. Now to subtract, I change the signs. The positive becomes a negative, the negative becomes a positive. And just to finish the subtraction, this thing becomes 6x. And after subtracting, I bring down my negative 6. Then I divide again. 6x divided by x is just 6. 6 times x is 6x. And 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And then to finish off my subtraction, I'm going to change the signs. This becomes 0 and 0. And you should have a remainder. If there's anything left here after and there's nothing to bring down, then this that's left here is the remainder. But since this is a factor, the remainder should be 0. So if you don't get 0 here, you know you made a mistake, and then you must just go check. Right, so then my after using the long division, I have now that the one factor is x minus 1, and the second quadratic factor is x squared plus 5x plus 6. And then I must just factorize the quadratic factor. And yet again, if I am, like in this case, solving for x, if I'm just factorizing, this is my final answer. But if I'm solving for x, I must just write the answers. X is 1, or negative 2, or negative 3. Right. So that is using long division to factorize. If you want to try the next two on your own, you can pause the video, do them on your own, and then watch the rest to check that you have the correct answers. If you want to just watch the second one also before attempting the third on your own, that's also fine. So yet again, if you remember, I was doing the first step, finding a factor with the factor theorem in the previous video, and I found that f in the point 1 was a factor, was 0, so that means also that x minus 1 is a factor here. Then I am going to do the long division. I'm just going to take this off to make space there for this long division. And just to show you, negative x cubed plus 2x squared, I think with the last one I'll show you how fast you can actually do this. Now I'll just walk you through the steps again. So I'm going to divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Right, so I have minus x cubed divided by x, which is negative x squared. Then I multiply negative x squared with x. And I multiply negative x squared with negative 1. That gives me positive x squared. And then to subtract, I'm going to change the signs. And then I'm going to subtract, which gives me 1x squared there. And I bring down the x. Now I start again. Divide, x squared divided by x is just x. X times x squared is x squared. And x times negative 1 is negative x. And then to subtract, I'm going to change the signs. So this is 0 and this is 2x. And then I bring down. Then yet again I divide. 2x by x is just 2. I multiply 2 with x and also 2 with negative 1. And then when I subtract like I should, I get 0. Right, then there's nothing to bring down, so I'm done. So these factors are x minus 1. Then it's negative x squared plus x plus 2. And I don't want to factorize this with the negative standing there. So I'm just going to take out the negative to the side. And then all of the signs inside is going to change, like so. And then I still have equal to 0. Then this becomes, then the third step, I'm factorizing the quadratic factor. So this becomes x minus 2x plus 1. And then my factors are my solution if I am busy solving, meaning if I have it equal to 0 and I need to find the x values, I'm just writing down x is 1 or x is 2 or x is minus 1. If I'm not solving, then you can leave out this line if you just need to factorize. Okay, and now let's look at the last one quickly. So if you think you have it, pause the video, do it on your own, and check back for the answers. So let's quickly look at this. In this one, I had f in the point 2 was 0, meaning that x minus 2 is a factor. Okay, now just to show you how fast this division can go, before I show you how fast this division can go, I just want to note again that since the x squared value is missing, it's going to mess up the procedure if you don't put in the 0x squared there, minus 12x plus 16. So just to make sure you have the correct thing, I'm just going to put a place value for the x squared term there. It is 0, there aren't any x squared values, but I'm just putting a place value in because when I multiply back, I'm going to have x squared terms, and then if I don't have it, x squared, then I've got nothing to subtract from, and it creates chaos. So I'm just going to do this. Right, now let me quickly show you. I'm going to do this without really explaining what I'm doing, but I'm dividing, multiplying down, subtract, bring down, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, like in the previous ones, just to show you, if you get comfortable with this, that it goes a bit faster. Right, so here I go. It is dividing, multiplying, subtracting, bringing down, dividing, multiplying, subtracting, bringing down, dividing, multiplying, subtracting, and there's nothing to bring down. So my two factors are x squared plus 2x minus 8, and then yet again I must just factorize this last one, and then those two brackets are the same. So if I have equal to 0, I have x is 2, or then alternatively x is negative 4, and those are my solutions.